oh, it's gonna happen to you then, I guess. Oh, and then going back to the prison, Valentine ends up soiling himself. Okay, calm down, Caroline. Oh my gosh, the food is poisoned. Hello, darling, and welcome to CareOffBook. It's me, Care Darling, and today, can you tell, I saw Kiss of a Spider Woman, and I really like the hands in it, so I wanted to, yeah. Okay, I saw the movie. I want to talk about it. Before we get into it, I do want to say, yes, there will be spoilers. I want to talk about it all. All right, so... So yes, I went to, okay, I gotta stop with the hands. I went to go see Kiss of a Spider Woman. I went by myself. I did have a good time. I would overall say like, yeah, go see the musical, have fun. I will say I've never seen the musical on stage. I saw some performances, I read the storyline, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in. Now, with this episode, I will say that by the end of the movie musical, I found myself having questions that I was like, okay, I need to see things as far as like what happens on stage. So yeah, let's talk about the movie first. First thing, Ben Affleck is actually a producer on this movie. I know, I didn't see that one coming. All right, I wasted enough time. As far as the plot in the movie musical, what's going on is that this is Argentina. This is during a time of revolution, and the setting is at this prison. And so the characters that we see is Molina, who is a window dresser, and then there's Valentine, who is like very important as far as the revolution. Now, when it comes to Aurora, or Ingrid, or the Spider Woman, pretty much Jennifer Lopez playing the leading lady role here. That character is there because there are times Molina is describing this one certain movie that, you know, this actress was in, and, you know, the plot line to Kiss of a Spider Woman was ahead of its time. So that movie was then used for either like a distraction, escapism, going into the fantasy, versus the reality of what was going on in the prison. So if there were times that people might be being tortured or someone was poisoned, different things like that, that's when, you know, Molina would use this movie to kind of have that escape. So right from the start, I actually laughed a little at how quickly Molina made himself at home in the jail cell. But it makes sense, right? It's like he's a dressmaker, so of course, no matter where he goes, he's going to take something and make it beautiful. And we kind of see that theme happen over and over, that wherever there was ugliness, Molina would tend to come in and beautify it. Now, the pacing at the beginning really threw me off. The way Molina and Valentine meet felt rushed. The editing was so fast and back and forth that it honestly made me a little dizzy. There wasn't much time to breathe or feel the tension build between them. But once we get to the first song where Molina introduces Aurora, the song, it's called Her Name is Aurora. And I was hooked. I really did love that transition because even Molina was saying like, oh, and the Technicolor is so saturated, makes you sick. And I loved it. I know that what I've read, Bill Condon, who's the director, wanted to make the clear separation as far as like, here's the reality, gray, dull, and then here is the fantasy, the musical that, you know, pretty much then we see her, right? We see Jennifer Lopez playing the role of Aurora in this movie. Like, I get it. I'm just going to call her Aurora, even when she is the kiss of like, she's the Spider Woman, just so that I can, like, hopefully make this make sense. But yeah, she comes in, she looks amazing. I love the costumes. And then the song happens, and I was like, like, I felt like she was missing the musical theater aspect. For anyone who doesn't know, musical theater acting is its own skill. It's not just about singing or dancing well, it's about storytelling through song, using your whole body and voice to express emotion in a heightened way. And I didn't really feel that here, right? But she looked great. There's a scene early on when Molina makes a bad joke about a different prisoner known as the professor's death, and Valentine snaps. And while that moment should have been tense, it just came across as bad acting to me. Like, it didn't feel lived in or believable. Then there's the paranoia that kicks in, Valentine wondering if Molina's an informant. Now, for someone who does not know the musical, I thought, oh wait, I thought this was going to be a twist at the end. But I'm glad that it was something that was carried throughout the story, because then it's like, what's going on with Molina? Will he betray? Will he, continue to take care? So I like that. It kept me a bit on the edge of my seat. Diego Luna does sing. The song is called An Everyday Man, and that surprised me. I mean, he wasn't bad. The song was a bit more simple, but I actually did enjoy it. But then something happened where I was like, wait, that's it? That's his only song? And this caused a bit of confusion for myself. But do not worry, I will talk about the difference of the movie versus the stage. So stay with me. Oh my gosh, I have a random note in my notebook. It's at the moment with J.Lo in a black dress doing the killer heel champagne move. Oh my gosh, honestly. There's this move, I don't know how to explain it. It's like she's holding champagne and then she goes down on one leg and the other one is extended as someone is spinning her with a hand, and she just has a champagne. And I was like, why is this not on TikTok? Why is this not a move that people are trying to do? Like, you know how people were getting into like Tate McRae doing that like foot up to the back and stuff. This to me is a move. I don't know why they're not like, hey, trying to get people challenging to like do this move. Oh, I could watch that for hours. We move on to a conversation where there's talk about Molina potentially like being transgender. And for me, it felt misplaced. Like, it didn't add much because we already understand that Molina identifies deeply with Aurora. It's shown beautifully through his actions and fantasy life. Saying it out loud kind of took me out of the moment. But then we get to she's a woman, and I just lit up. That was real musical theater. The actor Tonatiuh playing Molina is a standout, like total star quality. And then we go into the song Where You Are. That's when Jennifer Lopez performs in this all-white outfit. So the plot at this point is that Valentine is being taken to be tortured, and so then Molina needs to escape, needs to go into a different fantasy. And instead of going into the movie Kiss of a Spider Woman, there was a different poster. So I believe that that actress in that movie then comes out. And of course, it's Jennifer Lopez. I hope this makes sense. It sounds confusing, but when you watch the movie, you're like, oh yeah. I thought that this number was going to showcase Jennifer Lopez fully, but the editing cut it short, like bouncing between dancers and other shots instead of letting her command the moment. I will discuss more on that because I felt myself getting so agitated during that because I was like, wait a minute, why are you doing this to Jennifer? Okay, but we go into the song I Do Miracles, and I really did like this, right? We get the fantasy side with Aurora singing to Armando. By the way, I don't know if I made this clear, is that when Molina is telling the story, Molina puts himself as this character Kendall and then places Valentine as the character Armando in the movie. And that makes sense. Like, this is, Molina's fantasy and stuff, and here's Aurora. So here we go. I Do Miracles, we see that Aurora is singing to Armando, but then also it parallels to after Valentine was being tortured, seeing Marta being the one singing that song. And I thought that was really cool. And so this is where, even though Bill Condon is like, this is the fantasy and the musical, we do see where at times like this, that the fantasy is happening in the reality. And it makes sense to me because, yeah, Valentine was tortured and out of it. And so was kind of maybe in more of a meditative place to envision that Marta was there with him. When we meet the Spider Woman in the film, I immediately got it. Like, she's alluring, but her kiss is death. And I liked how they presented her. To make this make sense, in the fantasy, the storyline of that movie is that it's about this woman, Aurora, and then we learn that there's a curse with her from this village she's from, and ultimately she needs to sacrifice a loved one, someone that she loves and they love her back, and she has to offer the sacrifice to the Spider Woman. Oh, and then going back to the prison, Valentine ends up soiling himself. Okay, calm down, Caroline. At some point going back to the prison, what happened was there was food that Valentine was supposed to have that was poisoned, but it was switched and Molina ate the poison. So then Molina has to go to the infirmary, and what they do is they give morphine. And so there are, now this also makes sense as to why the Spider Woman is then going to visit Molina and stuff, because this makes sense because Molina's drugged up. So, of course, the Spider Woman, someone that Molina fears, is coming to haunt him versus, you know, he's trying to escape and like see the movie in Aurora. So after 3 days, Molina comes back and there's food given to Valentine and he's scarfing it and he tells Molina, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Well, guess what, buddy? The food is poisoned. So Valentine doesn't want to go to the infirmary because he doesn't want to give in, and then the police have control on him because they're getting him on drugs. So pretty much like this actually made sense to me. Like when he soiled himself, it actually humanized both characters. Molina's compassion in that moment explains why Valentine starts trusting him more. The next number I want to discuss is Gimme Love. Oh, the number with J.Lo in the green dress and red lighting. My absolute favorite. Like stunning, cohesive, aesthetic. I loved it so much, but I still have the same criticism. Like I'm so upset with Bill Condon because again, I was like, here is something that was going to show J.Lo more. And then the editing, it made me upset, okay?
What was your favorite musical number or scene to film?
I think it was Gimme Love. You know, that's the one she does in the bar, the Marilyn Monroe number, because it was the one that was closest to, like, there are these three setups. So she comes in, she dances with the guys over there, she dances with them over there, then she gets on the bar, then she jumps off the bar, dances again, and then goes over to the stage. And I could show you a shot where all of that happens in one shot. It's incredible, you know? So, you know, we were very nervous. That was the last big number we shot. We didn't have the option of going an extra day or anything like that, you know? So it's like, God, and we're all a little, you know, exhausted now at the end of this intense, you know, period of shooting these numbers. And I remember just like, she killed it. And it's like, oh, wow, we have that. You know, we're going to make it better, but it's going to happen. That was thrilling.
I just feel like Bill Condon kind of lied to me because I was excited to see what he was talking about and then the editing took it away. I wanted to see a long shot of J.Lo dancing, performing, and I felt like they took that away from her. One thing I kept noticing was how Molina imagines himself as Aurora's leading side man called Kendall. He's the narrator and this story is filtered through his lens. There was something that did confuse me, but before I mention it, something I couldn't fully grasp was the romantic connection between Molina and Valentine. Was Valentine in love, or was it just physical? An act of survival, maybe even curiosity? The movie didn't quite make that clear. And as far as the ending, I thought it was too obvious, right? Because, okay, spoiler, Molina ends up dying. But the thing is that I kind of knew that was going to happen because Molina would say things when referring to the movie like never trust the gay character, and also the gay character always dies in a movie. So when Molina said that, I was like, oh, it's gonna happen to you then, I guess. By the time Valentine was released years later, I was left wondering, like, was what happened between them real, or was it like kind of Stockholm syndrome in prison? Like, why didn't Valentine go find Marta? Like, was she just gone? I had questions. Okay, I want to talk about the thing I was confused by. So, like I said, Molina cast himself as Kendall in the movie, and I could see it making sense because he's the narrator, but if this is Molina's fantasy, like, why wouldn't Molina cast himself as Aurora? Because to me, that made more sense that that's actually who Molina would prefer to be, especially in Molina's fantasies, that he cast Valentine as Armando. So I was like, wait a minute, why wouldn't Molina want to be Aurora to be with Armando just like he would want to be with Valentine? So I found myself confused in that story plot. And then And then I was like, wait a minute, how is Valentine able to play Armando in the stage version? And how do they go back and forth? So then guess what? I came home and then I was like, I gotta go watch the stage version. The original Kiss of a Spider Woman musical opened on Broadway in 1993, starring the legendary Chita Rivera as Aurora, Brent Carver as Molina, and Anthony Crivello as Valentine. The show was directed by Harold Prince, with music by, of course, John Kander and lyrics by Fred Ebb. It was a huge success at the Tony Awards that year, winning 7 Tonys, including Best Musical, Best Actor in a Musical for Brent Carver, Best Feature Actor for Anthony Crivello, and Best Actress for Chita Rivera. Rivera's performance in particular became iconic. She brought that old Hollywood glam and danger that made Aurora unforgettable on stage. Listen, I know I don't have a time machine to go back and watch the musical, but I went on YouTube and let's just say that I watched the 8-legged resistant slime tutorial. Now that I've seen both versions, the best way I can describe the difference is this. The movie musical really feels like Jennifer Lopez's movie. Her character dominates the story and the visuals, almost like the whole thing revolves around her. But in the stage version, it's much more about the 2 men in that cell, their relationship, their tension, their survival. Aurora shows up every so often, but she's not the center of it. She's more like a coping mechanism, a way for Molina to escape when reality gets too heavy. Like I said, as far as the film, Molina, when describing the movie musical Kiss of a Spider Woman, actually has a plot and everything, versus the stage, it's more about the leading lady that comes in for Molina. That Aurora is brought in every time that Molina is just trying to survive. And so I think a great line that's said by Molina is, "I look, but I don't see."
Well, I look, but I don't see. Deaf, dumb, and blind.
One of the biggest differences between the stage and movie version is the music itself. In the stage show, Valentine actually gets a few really strong musical moments that help us understand his inner conflict. Those are mostly gone in the film. The movie trims a lot of his songs, which makes his character feel more reactive than layered. And instead of keeping the full original score, the film adds in a few older Kander and Ebb songs from other projects. It's interesting, but it also shifts the tone, almost like the movie is more focused on style and mood than on building emotional arcs through music. On stage, every song feels like a conversation between fantasy and survival. In the movie, the music leans more into spectacle, which can be fun to watch, but loses a lot of that raw storytelling energy that makes the original so haunting. Now, the ending in the stage version I thought was more impactful. Both versions end in a similar way, with Molina listening to Valentine trying to pass along the message for revolution, but the execution feels completely different. In the movie, Molina runs after giving the message, but realizes that he won't make it and most likely will be captured by the police. The revolutionaries end up shooting him almost out of mercy, so he won't be caught and tortured by the police, or more like he just can't share the message with anybody else. I mean, it is tragic, but like I said, I felt like I knew that this was going to happen based on what Molina was already saying. And also, when that movie plotline was going on, Kendall in that movie also dies and is given as the sacrifice to the Spider-Woman. So again, I was like, it was just too on the nose. In the stage version though, I felt like Molina's death hits much harder. After delivering the message, he gets caught, he's brought back to the cell, and there's this incredible, powerful moment. Valentine is there, and this is where Molina says something along the lines of, "If you tell them, you diminish my purpose." Then the police shoot him right in front of Valentine. It's devastating, but it gives Molina's story weight. He dies with meaning, not just by chance. And when the final song, Only in the Movie, plays, it becomes the heartbreaking full circle moment. Molina is still doing what he's always done, taking an ugly situation and making it beautiful even in death. Now, I know this is my opinion. I felt like the movie gave it away, but the stage, they allude to it. And it was such a great payoff. So there's a song and like a scene where Molina is describing like a certain scene in a movie where a leading lady is in Russia and goes to find their love or something. There's a lot going on, but then ultimately the leading lady gets shot and is down as far as dying. And there's that part where she goes, Viva la revolution, right? Viva! I love that part so much. And so this is just a little plot line that Molina was saying, but then Molina then is shot and then ends up singing that in the thing. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh. Something that really stood out to me is the age and stamina of the women who've played this role. When Chita Rivera did Kiss of a Spider Woman, she was in her 60s, and the fact that Jennifer Lopez, who's now 56, took on the same demanding role decades later is incredible. Watching Chita perform, there are no cuts, no breaks. You're seeing her do the full number live with all of the intensity and control that musical theater demands. You can completely understand why audiences were mesmerized by her. And I wish they did that for Jennifer Lopez. What also struck me is who's the true leading lady. In the film version, it's as if Molina is describing one specific movie where Aurora is the star and she fully embodies that classic Hollywood icon. But on stage, it felt more like we were jumping between multiple movies because Molina is just focused on the lady, not a specific film. The difference really changes how we experience Aurora as a character, and it ties back to what I wish J.Lo had been given the chance to do, a full uninterrupted number that let her live in that leading lady space the way Cheetah did. Instead, the editing kept cutting away, and it softened what could have been a truly star-making moment. Seeing both versions back to back, it almost feels like you're watching two completely different interpretations, one grounded in performance and the other shaped by presentation. Like I mentioned earlier, in the movie version, I was honestly confused about why Molina would cast himself as Kendall when it felt so clear that he would rather be Aurora. The choice never quite landed for me, but when I watched the stage version, it finally clicked. There's that moment when Molina describes Aurora being shot and dying in the arms of her lover while he sings Viva la Revolution. I know. Okay, listen, I just saw it, so I'm like, oh, I want to hear that part over and over. Seeing that, I realized Molina does get to become Aurora in his own story, dying for love, for purpose, and for something bigger than himself. Both versions tell this story so differently. One feels raw and intimate, and the other polished and cinematic. I'm curious which one spoke to you more, the stage musical or the movie musical. I love hearing your takes on how these stories land for you. Hold on, last thing. So me looking at Valentine in the movie going, how is Valentine able to play Armando? There is no Armando in the stage version. That's not a thing. So again, Molina playing Kendall, that's not a thing. There was none of these characters. So like I said, I was like, these musicals are just so different. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. If you're still here, oh my gosh, please put a spider emoji in the comments because there was a lot of things that I was writing about for this episode. Anyways, darlings, if you love talking about musicals and performances, you've come to the right place. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy hearing my movie musical reviews. I know I need to watch more pro shots. We need to talk about these pro shots. Cabaret is coming up, okay? I'm going to the UK. I have Cabaret the pro shot downloaded so I could watch it on the plane. Anyways, darlings, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, darling.